No, it's not with all the equipment they wear.
Okay.
I mean,
Lacrosse.
it's like, what's that?
Is that lacrosse?
Oh no, she wants the football. He wants the football.
Rugby. Yeah.
No, the football, the girl football.
Football.
The one with the short shorts.
Lingerie football league? Is that what
Oh, that's something I might take a bit of time looking at.
I have to show you the video, but they are violent.
And they have like no equipment on hardly at all, and
No.
I'm
And
like,
also
Hey,
the guys
there
that are playing with the flag.
There is a Swedish girl that plays for
That
the
carry the
Aston
flags
Villa
on the waist.
ladies.
Have you seen that?
All right, and she's a rather big girl,
Why'd you whisper it?
big bum and everything else. But she's violent, and the other girls they pull her hair because she's so fast.
Oh my god.
And the other girls
I
they
would
pull her
not
hair
like
and they
that.
pull her on the floor.
oh, you're gonna
What's
get
that
knocked
game?
out if you pull Laura's hair.
What's that game that the guys are wearing really short shorts and they have flags in their waist,
I think that's rugby. Is that rugby?
and you have no idea how they're kicking the ball? They're even touching the ball.
And they only wear like headgear.
It's
only.
in South Africa.
Oh,
I was watching a game the other day.
It's probably.
That's
That's,
like,
that's
really?
rugby.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's rugby.
it's rugby.
Yeah, all they wear is a jockstrap.
And
There is no protection, nothing.
only on their head.
That's what makes me laugh about American football, hockey. All right, and don't get me wrong, you get some horrible accidents in them sports. But rugby, nothing. Some of them will wear because they fractured their skull. They're not They're not allowed to wear anything hard. It's got to be a soft helmet with like a cushion on it. I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, let's start the Texas Real Estate Show.
Okay, we are up. They can see your faces now.
They can. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Show. As you can tell, I've got my Aston Villa Football Club shirt on. We are playing in Poland today, so I thought I'd sort of wear that for the first part of the show. So if you're interested in soccer, as you call it over here, but I don't call it soccer, it's really football, just go ahead, and watch the Conference League. We're playing in Poland, in Warsaw. First time we play in about 15 years, which is pretty cool. The items that we have on the menu today, this is the Texas Real Estate Show. Predominantly we talk about houses, and my two guests today are the one and only Loan Ladies, the Texas Loan Ladies, and we have Laura Zuniga.
Oh, there. You got it right.
It's only took me 6 months to get it right. And we have Courtney Guerrera, correct?
yes, that's
I'm
correct.
getting better. I'm getting it right. From Lone Star Premier Mortgage. You do a great job for us here in the office, helping the agents get people approved so we can put them into houses. Not dog houses, but basically real houses. But some of the houses we buy, they do need dog houses, but that we can't finance them, can we?
Nope, you can pay that cash.
We only finance real houses. But anyway, here we go. So I wanted to discuss something that we have been saying this for on this show. We've been saying this for maybe, I think, going on for 2 years, as long as the show's been going, that house prices are not going to fall. They might flatten off a little bit for a period, but in general they're going to rise. And last week we looked at an article from a Remax agent. Actually, we tried to use other companies, and we invited other companies to come to the show, but I guess they don't like me. But basically, the market's not going to crash. The market's not going to go down. It might flatten off. You are going to get some houses that are a bit of a bargain out there. Why? Because the most two important things in a house are location and condition. So if it's a bad location, you might be able to get a bit of a deal on it. If it needs work, then you know what? You might be able to, get a bit of a deal in it. There are some deals out there. The number of them deals is, especially where we are in Houston, is near impossible.
Somebody has to be in a bad situation.
They do.
To be able to get
And
a
it's,
good deal.
and then if you buy a deal like that, normally they want cash because Cash is important to them because they're trying to get out of a situation where they can get to a better situation. So we're going to talk about Barbara Corcoran. Now, what was interesting about this is she was one of the sharks, was she not?
Yes, she was.
And yeah, one of the other sharks.
She was one of my favorite.
Right, and one of the other sharks is saying, "Oh, the market's going down." Da 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 da. That's the guy that does his podcasts in shorts. Do you know the one I mean?
Kevin.
Yes, Kevin O'Leary is it? Yeah, I like Mark Cuban personally. You know, he's Texan and he's from Dallas.
He's very numbers oriented as well.
Yeah, well, I wish I was. I might have done a lot better if I was numbers oriented rather than. But anyway. If you're a prospective home buyer, you're likely to be in a tough spot. While you may be tempted to wait for interest rates to drop, if you wait too long, you could be dealing with a surge in home prices. What's your comments on that?
Well, the thing is there's a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines right now because they're locked into those low interest rates. Then we have buyers that really don't want to pay for those, higher interest rates if we get into a house. But the problem is that we still have a shortage in inventory. So what's going to happen is once those interest rates drop, everybody's going to come flocking. And whenever there's a demand, what's going to happen? The prices of the houses are going to go up.
I will tell you, the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've seen an increase in listings where people have called me. There are people that I bought and sold houses with before. So I've seen a bit of an increase. So we'll sort of, see how that all works out. But I really think that the market on the whole is pretty strong, and I don't think it's a bad time to buy at all. I just don't. Regardless what the interest rate is, I think it's always been a problem, interest rate. Well, because it affects the monthly price.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to get the house now and refinance later when those rates go down than to wait till the rates go down and jump in the market when everybody else jumps in.
Let me ask you a question.
Then start out bidding,
That's kind of bidding wars. Mm-hmm.
Outsiders from the
Let me ask you a
state,
question about
everything else.
refinancing. When you refinance, isn't there refinancing costs?
There is.
Yes, there is. There's always a cost on refinances, right?
But over the years,
over
you
the
save a lot
years,
more.
Yes, you save, and also the other thing
The
that
principal
we look at
pays off
before
quicker.
we do the refi, right? Is it worth it? Does it make sense for you? So, for example, sometimes those closing costs can be put into the loan, right, where the buyer doesn't have to pay anything when we do refinances. And there's a couple of things that come into effect. Like, for example, the property value went up.
People
and,
can drop their mortgage insurance, which will save them, monthly if they have that, as well as usually when we do refinances, they're going to be starting their savings within 1 to 3 years. That's kind of the average.
Yeah.
If it's any more than that, then usually it's not worth it. But, if you're getting into the market right now, we're going to be dropping back. When? Who knows? But it'll be some time, and whenever you lock in at those 4s and 5s, it's going to make a huge difference in your, your monthly payment.
Mm-hmm. The only part of the market that I think is going to suffer, and I think it's starting to happen now, is the commercial real estate.
I agree with that. I was actually just on the phone with a VP of one of the smaller banks around the Houston area, and they're saying for most commercial lending, when they're wanting to, lend out for commercial, they're wanting extremely strong buyers because of these high interest rates are making it where a lot of businesses are not making money.
Well, I'll tell you that, and I don't know if you know, I'm going to take this off. Okay. I told you this yesterday. One of my favourite Indian restaurants has closed down after being open for 40 years. Nita's. And they've closed down. And it's just unbelievable. My wife told me yesterday that one of the, here we go, I can never say it, pho.
America.
that her and her family have been to for the longest time though. And fur, just so you know, isn't the fur that goes on a cat or a dog.
I think it's spelled
Fur-
just F-O, right?
Yeah. Po.
F-O with 2 dots.
Yeah, but then, I mean, the way you pronounce that is poo.
What?
Poo.
P-H-O.
It's not P-H-O, it's F-O. Oh, no, it is. It's P-H-O.
but
That's
not
right.
PHO.
Yeah, it's
That's
P-H-O.
not poo.
Ooh.
P-O-O would be poo.
But anyway, the fur, whatever you want to call it, there's a number of stores that are closing down. And then also there's a big store that's closing down in Houston, commercial, and all these are restaurants. A big restaurant called Kim Son, and it's at the Fountains, and it's a huge Vietnamese restaurant. Very, very good, and they've announced that they're closing down as well.
It's just that right now everything is more expensive. Our, interest rates, our car insurance, our groceries, our gas, everything is more expensive, and I think a lot of the consumers have kind of cut back on their spending a little bit because they don't have it.
I think you're 100% right, because we used to go to Nita's once a week. Got very familiar with the owner, and I wish I knew where she was, because I'd want a copy of her restaurants. They do the best buttered chicken. And basically, I'm still in shock, to be perfectly honest, that they closed down. They've been open 40 years. You've only got to go to Nita's, and it says permanently closed on Google, and read the reviews. There's people on there that have been going there 40 plus years. They went to college, and that was their Indian restaurant place. And it's so sad to see some of these restaurants close down. They had a really good menu. It was more of a Southern Indian menu, which I like. I prefer the Southern Indian
Me too.
taste than the Northern Indian or the Pakistani curries. You like the milder ones, do you?
No, I prefer Southern. I'm South Indian, so I prefer
Okay.
South Indian.
We have an Indian in the house. Kay is half Indian.
It's kind of crazy. Have y'all ever looked at statistics for how many restaurants are going to make it?
It's like most of them fail
Right.
within their first 2 years,
Yeah,
right?
20%.
So-
It's 80% fail in the first, isn't it? 80% fail in the first
So,
year.
according to recent statistics, 3 out of 5 new restaurants won't survive 1 year, and 4 out of 5 restaurants will fail within the next 5 years.
Well, most of business
That makes me not want to open a restaurant. What about you, Laura?
I mean, it depends,
You
right?
have-
Because,
You have a 20%
But let me
chance of
ask-
making it.
Let me ask you a question.
but it also depends, it depends on what type of restaurant, right? Because, okay, well, as an example, like I like to try coffee houses every Saturday morning, and it's a different coffee house, right? It's not Starbucks, it's more like family owned kind of thing, and what kind of vibe they have, right? So if they have like a vibe, some of these places have really nice pictures, but when you go in there, their service is down the drain. Like, I think I need a cup of coffee. No, they need like 3 shots of espresso to
Yeah, but
wake
they've
up.
probably been out.
Right?
They've probably been out the night before on the piss.
And then there's some coffee houses where you go and they're also family owned, and they're like, how can I help you? Like, hey, I would like for you, like, do you want me to give you like, some advice on a coffee that you should try or something? Like, what's your favorite, So sort of, that's, even though those are smaller coffee shops, they have
go
more
above
like,
and beyond instead of what do you want.
they want to know, like, do you want to order something different than from your typical Starbucks? Like, that's the question that most of these ask. And then it's like, oh, okay. So those are the business that I see, like, those coffee houses aren't going to stay in place, because they have that connection with that person that's ordering. And this is like every customer, like,
But
this person
all right,
doesn't
let
get
me ask
tired
you
of
a question.
asking, right?
If you was
And
o-
there's others that don't.
If you
so
was opening
those
a
are
restaurant, I
not
don't know if you know everybody, but at one time I was looking at opening a British fish and chip shop in Houston. Okay, and I couldn't get it together.
That daggone Tim Hortons.
All right.
Know your spot.
They did. Somebody beat me to a spot, and I was going to open a fish and chip shop in Houston.
Does
But,
not
but
sound
what
like a
was
coffee
the, what was the
place.
thing that scares you about opening a restaurant? There's one thing that scares me, because I've run a restaurant before in an ice
Pouring
rink,
all my life savings
managing,
in there.
I should say, not But
What scares me
what
about it?
scares you? If you was opening up a restaurant, what scares you about opening up a restaurant? There's one thing that scares
Failing?
me. No, you should never be scared of failing anything.
No, the only thing that would scare me, because I have, friends that are business owners that own restaurants. It's like they're committed to that restaurant life.
They
24/7.
were, absolutely. They were.
Like even on holidays. you know?
Absolutely, and that's the
So
part
that's the only thing really that would scare me.
That's the thing that scares me. I'm thinking to myself, at my young age, do I really want to be frying fish and chips from, because I would open it maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. There's some fish and chip shops in Houston, but there's one good one. I don't think much of the others. And
Oh yeah, you'd have to.
but
run
I'd be
all night.
open. I'd be open till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
I feel like you'd have to. Run
Because
until
in
night, until
England,
everybody's
have a
gone
guess
to
what
work.
happens in England? They go to the pubs,
Yep.
they kick them out of the pubs, and they pile in the fish and chip shops, and then they go in there and they abuse the fish and chip people. I mean, that's
One of my
that's
favorite
fu-
Chinese restaurants closes at 3 o'clock in the morning because, like, if I go out,
that's where
they
the
close at 3 a.m.
that's where the main business is. It's they kick them out of the pubs, they kick them out, and I'm not saying, of course, that I was ever guilty of that as a kid when I was 21 years
I will
old.
say Laura is correct. A lot of people, especially like millennials and Gen Z, they complain about the fact that all of these restaurants are just Instagrammable. They all just look nice. Like you said, they have beautiful pictures, but the food sucks. And then, you're paying freaking $13 for avocado toast or something, and it's just,
Let me tell you something that also annoys me, and it happened.
But you have to
not-
have that charisma as serving the customer. So if you have the charisma and the pretty pictures and the pretty little post wall, then I think that will survive. But if you have just the looks and
But
like
as
no
I said to
customer
you,
service,
if I could get Nita and find out where Nita is, I want her recipes. Because if you could get her recipes, I don't know why they closed down Nita's. Perhaps she retired, perhaps she was sick. And I am in the next couple of weeks going to go to that complex to see if I can find out where she is. If I can find out where her recipes are, and if I can even purchase her recipes, then we'll see what happens. Because here's the deal. Whenever you went into the restaurant, it was empty. When the mother used to run it, and she was retirement age, do you know what? The service was absolutely incredible. Always there, always filling your glass, asking you if there's anything else. She was basically upselling. All right, so you'd always spend more than what you thought or what you wanted. The daughter took it over for a time because the mother went sick. It was never the same. The daughter did not have the same passion. All she done was sat on her ass at the back of the restaurant. The kitchen staff never changed.
there you go. You said keyword passion.
Yeah.
Like that was her why. She didn't have that.
The wife, I don't
daughter
think,
didn't
I
have the
don't
why.
think the daughter wanted to do it, and that's what, worries me about when I'm not here no more, and I'm with the Aston Villa fans in the sky.
They actually had a grand closing ceremony.
In Nita's, I know,
So they went out with a bang.
and I missed it. June 23rd.
I think that's why people have food trucks too. A lot of
Well, and I personally think food trucks are hurting
they are.
the economy.
Why?
Because why would you?
Because I think that it's like a safety net for people. I know when I lived in San Antonio, there was like a churro food truck, but they did really well. First, they had this just little small rinky-dink one, and then they
Okay.
opened up a second one, and now they have a brick and mortar location too.
I know you've never been to Nita's, but what do you think the rent was there? We're saying the rent's going up and everything's going up. and you've got a food truck,
Right down the street. I mean, the food truck, yeah, you only
And
pay
there is a
like
food truck.
$400 a month.
and
to
there is a
park
food
on
truck
lot.
down the street.
Yeah.
It's a Mexican burrito truck or whatever, but you know,
They're opening a food truck park across the street. You know that, right?
over here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it, but it's never open.
No, I don't think they have enough trucks. There's only 2.
Okay. When I said I was going to do a fish and chip shop, somebody told me to do a British fish and chip shop, and we'd looked at it. We'd done the British Union Jacks and the fish and chips on and stuff like that. But I don't like the idea of that.
Food trucks.
No.
I think a lot of food trucks also charge crazy prices.
Yeah, but
like
there's some
super
lots. You know, there's a lot over on Westheimer. And for a food truck over there, for a food truck, it's like $3,000 a truck per month.
What?
Because it's I think that's the most popular food truck park in Houston. It's literally called the Galleria Food Truck Park, and
Where?
it's on Westheimer, like literally right down the street from the Galleria.
Yeah, we'll go there for the
Very,
Olympian
very
table
Oh, we
one
can
day.
tell that she don't do a lot of food trucks, right, Laura?
Why is that?
She's like coffee shops.
Why is that? Because your bowels don't agree with them too much.
My what?
Bowels.
There. I just want to read you the names. There's a
No,
Your
I
your
went to-
intestines.
I went to
No,
when I
I
first
just
came to
like coffee
Houston. I
shops.
went to a food truck. It was a Mexican food truck,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm telling you what, it was
A colon
not.
cleansing
It was.
experience.
It was. That's the polite way to put it. From both
Yikes.
ends.
Sounds like food poisoning to me.
He just wasn't nice cleaning it up. How did we get round to this? How did we get to colon cleansing?
We started talking about how expensive it was to own things.
Whether to open a restaurant or not.
I just wanted to go to the comments. I thought that this whole comment thread that these people are kind of talking about from, going back to the Shark Tank lady and all that information, someone was like, how are we going to continue? I don't think this is going to be sustainable. How are we supposed to continue? Who's going to be the people that are buying houses? Is it going to be, the feds, banks, corporations? Who's doing it? And then, someone said the corporations are going to be.
Can I tell you what I think? I tell you what I think is going to happen. I think corporations are going to buy. It started now. There's corporations that are building communities just as rental properties.
That's literally what that says. That's
All
so
right.
funny.
And then what they're doing is they're using the pension funds, which is billions of dollars, to build these communities.
Yeah.
But I do think what's going to happen is I do think there will be a percentage of people who will continue to buy homes, but they will buy smaller homes. You are going to be in a position like we are in Europe when you're all going to be live in smaller homes.
Side by side, hey. Oh well.
I'll have to see. If
We
I-
just keep adding people to our house.
Well, you've got the land to do it. I mean, you've basically got your own little
I'm
farm.
building a hut on Courtney's land. I don't care. I was like, Courtney, I'll give you $700 a month. Let me have my little
Do you know what I do think we should stop though? Somebody made a comment on there. They said, you are correct, foreign buyers and corporations. I don't believe foreign buyers should buy properties in America, especially when it comes to agricultural land.
Oh yeah. Not agricultural land, especially, but
If they want to buy houses, then, maybe, but the problem is the bigger that market becomes, the more it pushes the price up. And the problem is it's playing straight into the corporation's hands by pushing the prices up,
yeah.
because it's just making the situation worse.
Yeah, I think now is probably the perfect time to purchase houses, like you guys said, because either way, if you're gonna purchase a house, if the corporations gobble everything up, they're gonna want to buy your house, so then you can jack up that price.
But I do think that the government, like I've said before, needs to have the government need to have a program where people can purchase a home and they'll pay a mortgage on part of it, which is, to make it affordable, and then they basically rent the home. So the local corporation, like a corporation or even a mortgage lender, because they're an investment company, or the government, so you rent that property. And then basically what happens is the person that actually pays the mortgage does the upkeep on the property. And then anybody that rents a property has an interest in the property to upkeep the property so it does not look like a heap. And it's been a very, very, I think, successful program.
That's why I told Laura I don't like doing like rental properties unless they're very, very small ones. I would rather do rent to own, because then they go in there and they have more pride in the house.
Because like you said,
but the issue with rent to own is if you do a rent to own, foreclosing on them, regardless what people say, is difficult.
It's difficult, yeah.
Because that judge wants to see every single penny, how you've come to this point, that what they owe. I bought a note from somebody back in 2010, and I bought the note for $28,000. The property was worth about $45,50, and unfortunately the guy that I bought the note from passed, and his documentation wasn't very good, and it cost me about $5,000 for an attorney to try and sort it out, and it went to trial, and the judge just turned around and said there's not enough here to foreclose on the property. And yet he's been living there for free. He hadn't paid me for 6 months. So I went back to the previous owner, lucky enough, they were a pretty wealthy family, to the estate, and the estate paid me my money back, plus all my court fees. He was actually my old mentor that unfortunately that happened to, Mr. Richard Phillips, rest his soul.
That's sad. At least you got your money back, though. That was nice of them.
Well, it was more than that. His wife Martha she was a class act, and she's still a class act, and I hope she's doing well. If he's ever listening to our podcast, I'm always thinking of you, Martha, especially on Richard's death on the 5th of April 2012, I believe. Anyway, let's sort of move on.
Speaking of corporations purchasing houses, says American housing market is so tight that even Wall Street giants can't buy.
Yeah, the problem is that the rates, as far as like leasing, has not went up enough for it to sustain the high interest rates that we have right now.
It's funny listening to, and I'm a typical example. It's interesting listening to renters saying, my rent's going up, my rent's going up, my rent's going up. You know what? I sympathise. We had somebody in our office the other day that was complaining that her rent was going up $25. One of my tenants. She's a good tenant. All right. She's complaining, well, I've been with you, this is the first thing, and you increase your rent $25 every year, to me, which is a minimum rent, a rent increase.
That is tiny.
My properties, I can guarantee you, it's squeezing everybody.
Yeah.
The sandwich is getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and I'll give you a typical example. On one of my properties, I've just changed 2 of the bathrooms. I've actually updated the property to granite countertops. While the tenant was there, they were good enough to let us do it, putting 2 walk-in showers, and with all the bits and pieces and new cabinets and everything else, so basically a new bathroom. That's $15,000.
Yep.
And so it's getting very difficult.
And not only that, but property taxes are going up, and who gives the owners a break on it? Like, for example,
Well, my answer to people when we talk about property taxes is get a company. I use O'Connor and Associates. I register with them. they appeal my taxes every year, and last year on property taxes I saved nearly $5,000 just on my properties and my home property. Because the home properties, they can only put up a maximum of 10%. If it's an investment property, they can put it up an awful lot more.
Oh yeah.
So it's helped me.
But increasing the rent, it doesn't help you a whole lot, even though it's only increases
Well, here's
$25.
the thing. Another thing that
Because if you get hit with an increase of, let's say, $120 on taxes per month, $25 is not gonna.
no, it doesn't. I agree. But here's the other part that's interesting that agents forget, investors forget. I've got an agent in this office. Okay, every year he wants to put the rent up $125. He doesn't keep a tenant in a property for more than 12 months. Each time that tenant moves out, what's he got to do? He's got to do a make ready. He's got to, clean up the stuff, make it nice, get it cleaned. Right. I mean, he's looking at $2,000, $2,500. Is it really worth pouring it up that sort of money? I mean, I've always done an increase in rents, which I call a nominal increase. So they're not going to move out.
Yeah, especially those good tenants.
I mean, we've just had one lady who we wanted to increase the rent $37.50, and she said that they couldn't afford it because there's only one person working in the house, and she's got cancer. And I'll be honest with you, I spoke to the owner, and we basically said, okay, we'll put it off for a little bit, and we'll see how she gets on, and we'll readdress it in the new year. We're not listening to sub stories, but there's got to be some flexibility for it to work at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, I want a good relationship with my tenants. Well, not me, but my property managers. So, what do you think about Wall Street giants? The funds are the ones that are going to buy the properties, but the properties they're not going to buy are the ones that need fix-ups.
It's just expensive to do anything right now. It's expensive to fix them up.
I think what's going to happen is that Wall Street are going to come in and build the properties that I told you about, which is brand new homes, rental,
which
communities
honestly,
of rentals.
That's a great way for them to invest their money because, they're going to get a way better return than if they were investing it in anything else.
Well, if they're buying one house and they're doing a fix and a flip, it's difficult for them to manage it.
Yeah.
There have been people who pool in their money together. They create like an LLC.
Crowdfunding.
And they'll say all of us got together and we decided that we wanted to, start a little community, and that's what a lot of people have been doing. They've
Yeah, but if you do more than 20 people, you've got to go through the SEC.
Oh, I don't think it's more than 20. I think it's maybe 10, 15 people, and then they,
Because just to let you know, we've looked at doing something similar to that with some of our agents, and if it's more than 20 people, I think the SEC get involved. You've got to have a board. You've got to go by the rules and the regs.
I see in the future there's going to be more multifamily housing, 1, 2, 3 families.
I think what's going to happen is in the cities you're going to see apartment living. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see more apartment living. Somebody made a comment the other day. Was it you made a comment yesterday or the day before about doggy parks? The number of doggy parks in Houston apparently has increased.
Oh, I think Kay mentioned that. The doggy parks. That's been a while.
Yeah, apparently the number of doggy parks has increased in Houston.
We mentioned it the other day.
Just because there's nowhere to go.
And so what's going to happen is, we've got an apartment, a big apartment that's been built on the edge of River Oaks. It's called the London. I think that's the latest development that we've got in the Galleria area, River Oaks there. And River Oaks is an incredible area. Mm-hmm. Housing economist warns that an 8% mortgage rate after home sales disappointment. Now, this is what I wanted to bring this up for no other reason to see what the loan ladies of Texas have got to say. This home buyers made fewer deals in August as rough housing conditions persisted. That may get even worse, one housing expert said. Well, that housing expert, all right, isn't an housing expert. Normally what happens in August, what happens in August?
School starts.
School starts.
Summer.
So do you think people are going to start, with all that commotion going on, it's a month where they may want to move?
So after COVID, with these interest rates, I think that they've already been slow. So I mean, we're going to see a slowdown because of it being the slow season right now.
But I'll tell you, I think only because I've had a lot more calls recently, but I normally get pretty busy at the end of the year, because sellers are more motivated because they don't want to pay their sales taxes come December 31st. So if they can walk away, like we said earlier on, with the cash in their pocket. I mean, I've got a deal at the moment, you know, I spoke to you about a deal that we're hoping to do at the moment, which I close on in October the 11th, which basically, you know, can make a difference. But I think that's what you're going to get. But that's particularly going to be, I think it's particularly going to be houses that perhaps need a bit of work, because they're more motivated to sell.
Yeah, and I think we had a Fed meeting yesterday, and I don't think that the rate hikes are going to stop either. So we'll see what happens.
Do you think they're going to go up? How much more do you think they're going to go up?
I have no idea.
Well, take
I'm
a
just
guess.
on the roller coaster ride, just holding on.
No, well, take a guess. Just have a guess. What do you think? What do you think is the maximum it's going to go to? I've said many times, when I bought my first house, I was paying 18%.
So keep in mind that this is just a guess, because we really can't say how the market's going to go.
You're not a
but
fortune teller. We know that.
I think we're going to get up to like.
I'm going to bring a crystal ball
It's just
for
a
you
guess.
next time. Can I bring a crystal ball next time?
Sure.
Then you can sort of rub it. And
What do you think, Laura?
I agree with you. That was actually the number that I was going to say, 8.5.
is what?
8.5,
Do you think it'll get to that
if I
high?
would have to guess. Yeah.
We're not too far off from there, to be honest with you.
What are we, 8.1 at the moment?
We're in the high sevens
We're in
right
the high
now.
sevens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does make a difference because, you know,
What's interesting
it
is
makes a difference on the purchase power. So hopefully they don't go that high.
let's just go back to the Corcoran. It says,
I think we're at 7.7, 7.6 today. It's not too
So
bad.
during the Fed meeting, they did say it's likely that another quarter-point hike is going to be happening this year, and they're projecting that the rates will stay higher for at least 3 more years. I hope it doesn't stay high for 3 more years.
I hope not.
I don't either. I'll retire in 65. So when I'm 65, sorry. Can you pull up the chats, Kay? Do you have any more questions?
So the only, I kind of see most of the people that have commented on this article are saying the same things that you are saying. Once I find where I put it.
So you're trying to tell me I know what I'm on about?
Yeah, look at you.
I just think lenders are going to get a little bit more creative, like on renovation loans and that kind of thing, so
I
that
think-
buyers can,
I don't think it's just a case
people
of...
that own their properties can.
I think HUD need to be able to be more creative, because they put the guidelines down.
Keep
HUD,
in mind, they made a
HUD,
huge decrease.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all of them. What's your opinion of Freddie Mac and and Fannie Mae with their guidelines?
They've gotten more creative. So for FHA, they lowered down their MI about 8 months ago or so.
Now hold on, stop being
0.30.
fancy by just saying MI.
So their
People
mortgage
get MI.
insurance went down, and it almost got about a 30 or 40% cut on it. And so to kind of put that in layman's term, for a $300,000 house, you'll probably be saving about $150 a month, give or take. So the MI is
Which
helping
helps.
on that. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
huge difference. And
That's
then for
$9,000. Is that 9,000? What's that a year?
I mean, but
About
keep in
1,200,
mind
so.
that actually also helps them to increase their purchase power.
Yeah.
That little
It's
bit.
900 a year.
And then on top of that, Freddie Mac has taken a lot of loan level pricing adjustments off of the first time home buyer. They're also working on putting it a little better for the people that have low income or in the low income range. But it's going to maybe hurt a few people that are very qualified. They're kind of moving one way and moving the other.
Hold on. So what you're saying is there's a certain segment that it's going to help.
Yep.
Are you talking about minorities?
Low income.
Low income.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're being very diplomatic with what you're saying. And then you're saying there's another part of the community that are going to be moving out of the neighborhoods. Is that what you're saying?
So if you're lower income, they're taking a lot of those loan level pricing adjustments off. If you're in the higher income, they did increase those a little bit.
So they didn't do it across the board. They only
Yeah.
did it. I said I don't agree with that.
And then
I
also,
think they should have done it for,
they've done some different levels.
Because I tell you what that promotes. That promotes people bending the rules. All right. And not being as upfront as they should be in a situation. To me, what's good for one should be good for everybody else.
But where do you draw the line, right?
You shouldn't draw the line.
Where do you draw the line? Because there should be a line drawn, because, that's like saying,
No,
well, why give down
I don't-
payment
I-
assistance? Because it's helping people that don't have their down payment assistance out.
No, I don't think so. I think there should be rules in place with like a down payment assistance that you've got to stay in the house for so long. If not, you've got to pay a percentage of that back. Even if you're a millionaire, to be perfectly honest, I think you should still have the same ability to buy a house for whatever amount. It should be limited. There should be rules in place.
So you think $1 million house should get down payment assistance to buy it?
Yeah, but it should be limited.
All
Why not?
right. Let's go get one.
I'm a displaced person from Los Angeles, California.
Okay,
because
so you're
okay. Because of millionaires going into our neighborhoods, because people everybody wants to move to California. I don't know why. It's not. I don't know, but that's why my family had to move to Texas, because we couldn't afford the property taxes.
Right,
They
but that's
hiked up,
a property tax problem.
But
But the,
also, I wouldn't be able to live
Purchase
out
a
there.
home.
I would not.
You would not.
I would
I
have
agree.
to work, like, what
3
is it,
jobs.
70 hours a week, as a California native, to be able to
But
almost
what-
even rent a home.
what is
in
the
California.
cause of that problem?
Corporations or millionaires moving into lower income neighborhoods and purchasing
To me, it's
houses like
demand.
that.
It's demand.
Well, yeah,
It's
taking
demand,
over.
whether it's from corporations or whether it's from buyers. And I agree with you, it's not right. But what I would like to see,
But let's give them down payment assistance so they can move into your neighborhood.
Exactly.
but here's the
Laura's like, I'm staying out of this.
no. It's a good point. But let me tell you what my opinion is. All right, billionaires and corporations need to pay more in taxes.
Yeah.
Right, they need to pay more in taxes, because if not, we'll never get rid of the debt. All right, there should be more help for working class people. I'm big in that, Mr. Social Democrat. All right, and I really do think that we should do that. But at the same time, that's the problem when you go, that's the problem that really annoys me about Houston. You drive through a neighborhood and you look to the right and you've got this shitty house that's falling apart and boarded up. And then 2 doors down, you've got a brand new house.
3-story house with no yard.
All right, well, if you go to South Park, which is predominantly an African-American neighborhood, correct? All right. And basically, they've put a duplex there that's selling for $500,000. 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
It's called gentrified.
And they're leasing it for $2,200-$2,400 a month.
But they should have the same rights as everybody else, right?
I think that's.
But that's what they're paying it.
Do you remember the
But that's
house
what-
that we looked at in New York, where they purchased it for $200,000,
But the point-
and they are trying to sell it for $750,000?
But the point, right? But the point I'm trying to say is, why can't we? It's like everything's segregated here. If it's low-income housing, why can't we have a system that will help somebody buy a house in that area? And there are programs, correct? Like the
Yes.
Good Neighbor program. That's one program.
Different programs, yeah.
All right, but there are different programs that we can put in. But why can't we have something like the down payment assistance program? Because I know it sounds strange. There's a lot of crime in that area, isn't there? Yeah, I think it's one of the top 10 crime areas if you put the zip code in. But what I'll tell you is, we have people that ask for that neighbourhood because their family's always been in that neighbourhood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they're normally African American, but that's what I'm saying. Rather than look at this shitty house that's all boarded up, why can't they be in a position where we've got some sort of financial program that can help
There is a
them
Houston program.
build
To answer that
and
question,
help them build a new house?
There is a Houston program for Houstonians only, like if you're a native Houstonian, and you have to, kind of prove that you're a native Houstonian to qualify for that.
Is it down
program.
payment assistance?
Yes, it includes down payment
Are you
assistance.
talking about the one that's $35,000?
No,
No.
it's not 35,000. So the house cannot be, the sale price of the house cannot be, I think it's $240,000 or $230,000, and it could be a new build. And the builders that they're selling these properties to, they're actually like eyesores. So if there's like a lot that was an eyesore and they tore down that house, somehow the city got a hold of it. So if it's city owned, they sell it to a builder, a small builder that they're supposed to build in that, and it can only be offered to that specific community.
It has
Like it cannot
That's
be an
it.
investor in it, but this is sponsored only by the city of Houston. So this is not like in reality, like yes, HUD has something to do, right, because it has to be somewhat funded, but this is a program that it's
Do you
coming
think?
from the
I
mayor,
think that's a good program.
right?
I think it's a positive program. But do you think HUD, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac have some skin in the game where they should be doing?
They should be helping more.
I agree.
They should be helping, like for example, they should be helping more of the locals in that community, not investors, but locals, to have a property of their
Well,
own in their neighborhood.
Fannie Mae used to have a rule when we had all these foreclosures, because I was one of the foreclosure kings, and basically they had a rule where you listed a property. Fannie Mae used to fix up all their properties, new carpet, new paint, all appliances.
You mean the foreclosed properties?
The foreclosed properties. Very rarely did we have a property that
Was in disarray.
was disarray. They wouldn't. Their main principle was, we're here to serve homeowners and home ownership, and they'd fix the property up. Well, have a guess what? All right. An investor could not make an offer for that property if it didn't sell within 30 days. And that's how you get around that. It should be open to homeowners.
I actually just signed up for that program to be certified, but I think that program is a great program that the city of Houston has, because it's
I
going
think
to
it's a
help
good program too.
Houstonians, Houstonians that have lived in that community. For example, they grew up there, they went to school, and they want probably their kids to go to the same school. They want to live close to mom and dad or, relatives. So, I think it's a great program.
Before I moved to Texas, California used to have a program like that. I think they still do, but the program only went up to $150,000, so you could only get a house in like a very, very rural area.
You could
right?
buy yourself a tent on the street for that.
Exactly. You can't afford. Like there was no way. The only place that it would
$150,000
work.
tent better be fancy.
Have they started making like small communities, like with really small houses, like the mini ones?
In Northern California, there's a lot of trailer park, like little trailer homes. So that's kind of their way of doing that. So that's why it's $150,000 is because you're just getting a trailer home on like a lot like that. But that's like the best that they can do for the Californians that are there. So, I mean, because there's no way you're not getting a house for $150,000, I don't think anywhere anymore.
I think where we're heading is going to be like condos and townhouses, more like condos.
That's what I think as well.
Unless everybody goes to Wyoming. And because there's more cows there than people. That's
I think I could get down with the cows.
it's so beautiful. I wanted to move to Wyoming and then everybody thought that I was crazy. So, but you get, 13 acres for $40,000. That's nice. That's pretty good.
Or we could just move to Detroit.
Detroit.
Buy a house there for $10.
You have to, every day you fight for your life.
Hey, we will all come together to gentrify it. There you go.
It's okay. High fences with barbed wire up top. We'll just stay inside the house.
What's the, let's see, $16 homes?
And we'll open a coffee shop.
Right there. 13 houses in Detroit that you could purchase for less than $100. Right there. Homes for sale under $20K in Detroit. Look at this.
Can we do that in Houston?
Look at here.
No, that would be scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. There's only one.
That house don't even look that bad.
Then you probably see the neighborhood, and it's probably terrifying. It's probably,
See, you can fix that up.
yeah. There's, I think
That one doesn't look bad.
3 bedrooms. So
No, it only has 2 photos. That's promising.
I think
The outside
That
doesn't look
doesn't
bad.
look too bad.
this one looks.
I used to have a gentleman that used to buy what they call foreclosure lots. And
I would gentrify that neighborhood if I won the lotto.
I thought you wanted last night.
To be honest with you, outside of Detroit is really pretty too.
Yeah, it is pretty.
Even like close to Detroit.
And they have a lot of trails. They have
I don't know where we went in Detroit, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I feel like
We got lost, and it was really pretty. There was no crime.
Trying to make our way to Maple.
You've got to be careful if you get lost in Detroit.
We did get lost. Seriously, Stephen, Google lost us.
that is
So.
Anyway, have we got anything else we want to talk about?
I think we're out of time for today.
yeah, I think so too.
No,
I think,
we're not.
Can we talk about state down payment assistance programs next podcast?
We can do.
Okay. But yeah, I think we only have 5 minutes, so.
I want to talk about one thing before we leave.
Oh, it sounds important.
It's very important. I think it's the most important thing we should talk about.
It's going to be about
Oh.
Aston Villa.
It looks like
We're
it's
losing
a question for
3-2.
you.
I saw that. I looked it up. And
We're
it was
losing
3-2.
3-2 at the moment, and we've only got like 20 minutes left. So, come on, the Villa.
Put your jacket back on, Stephen.
See,
Anyway, but that wasn't what I was going to say. What I was going to say was, and you can clip this, all right? What I'm going to say is, okay, the Powerball Lotto
Oh no.
is $700 million.
I'm going to put a compilation of how many times.
All right.
right.
All right,
it's
which
more
is
than
a
that.
cash deal of around 400 million. Come on. So, as a group of buddies here, if you won the lotto, would you come into work tomorrow?
Yes. And I would go gentrify that community.
I would come here.
Yeah,
and
it's
tell
by the
you-
lake,
I
by the river, whatever.
I would come here and tell you, not 400 million, I'd lie to you and tell you I won 50 million and ask you for help on housing investments. That's what I would do.
There you go.
Seriously, what would you do with it?
Seriously, I would gentrify the neighborhood. Probably not.
Because the
pushing it.
numbers for people that win the lotto are not good 4 or 5 years down the line for them going bankrupt or overspending or anything else.
Now, I would seriously invest it in real estate.
As in rentals?
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
Go on.
70% of lotto winners lose or spend all that money in 5 years or less.
Told you!
I believe it.
The first thing I'd be doing is hiring an accountant.
Hey, screw you as well.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
It's just a case of which side they want to screw you from. I mean,
I just, there's actually a show about people who win the lottery, and there's a guy who goes in and helps them purchase houses.
How to
you know.
invest.
Yeah, but the last episode that I saw was a guy. He purchased a house here in Houston, and then for his mom, you know, and then he wanted to purchase one in New York. He gets $1,000 a day for the rest of his life. That's what it averages out to. That's how he split his money up. $1,000 a day for the rest of his life. This man decided he wanted to live in New York, of all places, in a condo, and I think the condos that he was looking at were like, I don't know, I think
$1,000 a day, that's 30 grand a month. That's
Yep.
still a pretty good thing to live in
the
New
HOA
York.
That's
fee
pretty
every
good ding
year
dong.
was $400,000. The HOA fee for one of the properties that he was looking at was $400,000 a year. And that's one of the houses that he really, is he crazy? That's so dumb. That's why they go bankrupt. It's
because they're not used to managing money. That's part of the issue.
Yeah, and you don't, I mean.
And then apparently the people that reveal their identity, and in some states you've got to reveal your identity, then all of a sudden you've got family members coming out the woodwork like little worms.
Yeah, a lot of places
Don't
you
you-
have to go.
You can choose
But you
whether
have
to
to
get
be
it all up
very-
front or
Not
get
on
it
all
over.
states. Not on all states.
Really?
But you have to be very weak-minded to help everybody that says they're your
Oh, can I borrow a $5?
Yeah, I don't even respond to my family's messages now. So I'm not
Like,
getting
really,
money.
why are you going to give everybody in your family money if you won the lotto? Why would
Because you love your sisters and you love your brothers and you love everybody. And
I do,
You're a
but that
good
doesn't
person.
mean that they deserve what I won. Do they give me part of their paycheck? No.
That's true.
It's
Right.
like a paycheck, right?
What would be your priority if you won the lotto that you would want to take care of?
Probably get my parents out of debt.
Yeah. I would want to buy my mom a house, and my mom told me recently, and this is my goal, is that she wants to have a car that was never used. She's never had an unused car, and that is what she wants. So that's what I would do.
I would travel for a month.
Courtney. Everybody's being nice, and she's like, I'm leaving.
She's like, I'm out of here. You do the podcast.
If she wins the
Yeah,
lottery.
yeah,
We've
yeah.
never seen her.
You go do the podcast by yourself. Screw you. I'm off.
Next time she says that she's not
Who's going to look after your chickens and your
lotto.
snakes?
Oh, I'll hire somebody. We're good.
She's packing everybody up and she's going. She's out of here.
But seriously, like, are you going to help everybody that says they're your half sister?
But that's why they reckon is the biggest reason why people go broke. Because everybody all of a sudden, you know.
I think another reason is because people think of, okay, I'm going to buy $500,000 house. Okay, I'm going to buy an $8 million house. But they don't understand what goes into what you have to pay for upkeep, maintenance, everything else.
Because they've never owned a house. But there's some people that have done very, very well. There was one guy that out in Kansas or something. He bought a house every 4th of July. He lives in a small town. Every 4th of July, he has a village party for all the small town people, and he does the family, the community do barbecue and everything, and he's just bought himself, I think 500 acres or something, and he uses that for hunting.
It's nice.
And he leases it out for hunting, and he's got quads, and they go on the quads and stuff. So that's pretty cool. He's been very savvy in what he's done.
Big Courtney.
Yeah.
Move out to the middle of nowhere.
Quads.
Let's go.
It's the same thing when like musicians, especially musicians, they get really big with TikTok. People have one song and they blow up. But
Don't you dare mention Russell Brand.
Go with
Their
professional
cousin-
athletes too, because they have usually a short term that they're getting a lot of money.
Yeah, their cousins are suddenly their managers because they took 2 business classes or something like that, and then they want to help their sister have her restaurant, her cupcake company, and so they're like, okay, invest in this.
Well, they get
invest in
involved.
that,
They get involved
all
in
that.
investment opportunities.
Yeah, from their families, but I don't know. I told you guys, if I ever won, I'd put a mask on, because you do have to go and pick up the check in person, and you have to show your face. But I'm wearing a mask. I'm putting on a wig. Okay, I'm gonna wear a wig like Laura's hair.
Would you keep the money in your name, or would you put it in a corporation?
You're supposed to put it in a corporation, right? Isn't that the best way to do it?
You don't have to, but you can do. Would you take the cash payments, or would you do the annuity?
It depends on how much it is.
I think it depends how disciplined you are personally.
I'm a very frugal person, so
If you are,
I'm not spending money.
yeah. All right. Well, that brings the show to a close. The next Powerball is, when is it?
No idea. I don't
know.
gamble.
Saturday night.
I don't play power.
You don't play
the lotto.
Powerball?
I don't play the lotto.
Nope. No
Well,
gambling in this corner.
The odds supposed to be better for Texas Lotto, but I only gamble when it's like over 300 million or something. If it's worthwhile playing, it's worthwhile playing.
I only put my money in things that make sense. I have a better chance of opening a restaurant and for it staying open than winning the lotto.
I've got to win the lotto first before I do my fish and chip shop. Anyway, until then, we're going to wrap up the Texas Real Estate Show. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We want your comments. What I'd like to do today is, if you was opening up a restaurant, could you please comment on what type of restaurant you would open? It'd be interesting to see what type of restaurant, or whether you'd open a restaurant, a standalone restaurant, or whether you'd open a food truck. How would you start a restaurant business? Let's see if we can get some comments in the chat. And until then, we're going to wrap this up. And first of all, we're going to wrap up with Courtney. Would you like to, how do we contact you?
Yes, you can call me at 832-409-7908 or email me at courtney@lspmortgage.com.
And Laura, which I know that threw you completely because I went to her first.
You can reach me at laura@lspmortgage.com or social media.
And if you want to have some fun, if you're an investor, or you're a real estate agent, or a wannabe real estate agent, or a wannabe investor, or you just want to know more, please, as I said, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications on the channel. We would love to hear more from you guys. Please put in the chat what you even would like to hear on the channel, and we'll do our best to get that to you. So until next time, my name's Stephen Williams. You can contact me at C21OlympianTX on most social media, or if not all social media platforms. I have a young lady called Kay who specialises and helps me with all that, because I'm a bit of an old fart, but there you go. But until then, bye for now, see you for now, and ta-ta for now. Have a good week, peace, and stay healthy.